here's a quick tutorial that I'm going to do regarding Voicemeeter to show you a couple things that's not out there yet on YouTube. So specifically, I'm going to look at the macro buttons. But first, I just need to walk you through and tell you kind of what my setup is here. Turn this down a little bit more. So I have several hardware inputs coming into Voicemeeter. So what I've done is I have a PreSonus external preamp that my Heil PR40 plugs into, and as you can see right here, oops, wrong button, I have selected that on my channel 1, which one thing you need to know is when you're making a macro, these channels actually start out from 0, so this is actually channel 0, so remember that for later. But so here I've selected my Heil PR40 to be on this channel, and I've labeled it microphone. If you didn't know, you can click up here, change the name, actually right click there, change the name to microphone. I've selected it, and as you can see, I've selected mono because it is a mono microphone, not a stereo, so that way I get the 2 channels. Alright, so that's channel 0. Channel 1, I have an M Audio Delta 1010 card in my computer, so I've actually physically have an input in the back, and I have my iPad plugged into that so I can play jingles and music and things. That's not what you're hearing right now. I can actually mute that. So my iPad is physically plugged in to some inputs coming out the back of my computer, because again, I've got the Delta 1010 card in there. And then on, so that's channel 1. So remember, channel 0, channel 1, channel 2. So channel 2, I'm actually using the VB Audio virtual cable, because what I'm doing is I'm using Fubar 2000 to play the music that you hear, and I'm outputting that into this channel right here. So I'm using a virtual audio cable to make it look like a piece of hardware. And then I've got Skype and Hangouts coming in here, which we're not using, so no big deal. So for the output, so I've got some speakers hooked up again to that PreSonus audio box, so I can hear what's going on, and that's all on channel A right here, so I can actually hear that here in studio. And then I'm recording everything onto bus 2, and bus 2 is actually how I'm capturing the audio in OBS Studio, and that's what I'm recording right now is OBS Studio. So in OBS Studio, the mixer input is from the aux VAIO. Hopefully that makes sense. So kind of a real quick setup. Hopefully you know something about Voicemeeter, because again, I'm here to really talk about the macros. The macros are really cool. So what I've done is, if you left click on menu, you click on macro buttons, run on Voicemeeter start, and what happens is you get these boxes down here. Well, they're blank when you first get them. So what I've done is I've basically used the information provided by the folks over there at VB Audio, and made a couple of macro buttons here with hotkeys. These 2 have hotkeys. I haven't configured the rest here. So I'm going to talk about that right now. So what I wanted to do is, first off, I wanted to create a cough button, which would mute channel 0, my microphone, if I had to cough. So as you'll see, this is a 2-position button here. So if I'm going to push and hold it, and you should not hear. So you saw it muted. So when I pushed it, it changed colors, and there you go, you probably heard me cut out. It mutes that audio, and then when I release it, it unmutes the audio. So instead of double clicking, I can just click this and hold it, and then when I release off the mouse button, then the cough button releases and the audio again starts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this button. I'm going to kind of show you real quick. Button name, I called it the cough button right there, so that's that, cough button. Button subname, it basically will tell you, I put push to mute, so if you push to mute it, and then when I let off. So here's the fun part here. So in order to make this a push button, what I've done is there's a drop down, and I've said, you know, push button or 2 position, and I'll tell you what a 2 position button is here in a minute. So I've just made it a push button, and what I've done is, so the request for button on, or what they call trigger in, so when I click the button, what it's going to do is strip 0, which is this strip right here, because remember it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you can see my mouse moving. I'll do it again slower. Microphone is strip 0. iPad is strip 1. Podcaster PC is strip 2, then 3, then 4. So what I did was request for button on. When I push the button, when I physically push the button, strip 0, mute equals 1. That means it mutes. When I release the button, strip 0, mute equals 0. So 1 is basically on, 0 is off. It's binary. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's how I created the cough button. And I'll just cancel out there. So what I've done here is I've moved on. I've wanted to do some fades. So like a fade in and fade out as I'm starting maybe to talk during an intro. I'm going to go ahead and reset this here. It's going to get louder. So you'll see that's louder. What I did was I pushed it once. There we go. I pushed it and it faded out. I push it again, or I click it, and it fades back in. Click it, fades out. So let me show you how I did that. I'm going to right click there. Again, button name, fade 3 and out. You'll see fade 3 and out. Button subname, push to start. So again, strip 2, remember, 0, 1, 2. Strip 2 is a fade 2, and it basically here is it drops 10 dB in 900 milliseconds. That's when I push it the first time. This is a 2 position button, so it has 2 actions. So instead of clicking and holding and then releasing like we did on the first one, it's a click, it drops down 10 dB in 900 milliseconds. And then when I click it a second time and release it, strip 2, fades 2, it goes back up to plus 0 dB in 900 milliseconds. So you'll see right now, strip 2 says minus 10 because I clicked it one time and it dropped it to negative 10 dB. Hopefully that's making sense there. So I'll show you again. So I clicked it once, it dropped it to negative 10 or minus 10 dB. I click it a second time and it goes up to 0 dB. You see that? I'll click it again. I clicked it and it dropped. So one more time so you can see it. Strip 2. On the first click, it faded to a minus 10, so it dropped the level, the volume, minus to minus 10 dB in 900 milliseconds. And then when I clicked it the second time, the volume increased back to a positive 0 within 900 milliseconds. Hopefully that's making sense. And then you can go on, instead of hitting record up here, you can create different buttons. But I just wanted to introduce you to the macro buttons. They're very easy. If I figure it out, anybody can. Hopefully that makes sense. Leave some comments below and let me know what you think. All right, take care.
To leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and the ink stains that have